It's Women on Wednesday on The Dana Barrett Show. Brought to you by LeaderCast Women. Join us October 12th at the Georgia World Congress Center.
We've got a little bit of a theme going on the show today, being that words matter. So, of course, to that end, who better to have on the show than one of Atlanta's favorite talkers, Celeste Headlee, joining me on the phone. I think the Atlanta listening audience is probably thrilled to hear your voice. Celeste, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I am great, and I kind of cut your bio off halfway through because I'm so excited to have you on the show. But, longtime on-air radio talker, but also author of a book called We Need to Talk, How to Have Conversations That Matter. So obviously words matter a lot to you as well.
They do, yes. And I want people to use more of them,
yes.
Not in text.
More is good. More is good.
Yep.
And good ones would be good.
Yes.
But I want to, before we get into so first of all, you're going to be in town on Friday for LeaderCast Women. We're excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
And I want to get into sort of a little bit your views on leadership and all of that. But before we do, for people who sort of don't know the whole story of how you got where you are now, can you just share a little bit of the journey through the TED Talk and the book and all of that?
Sure. So I've been working for public radio for NPR and PRI and others for about 20 years now. But I was asked to do a TEDx talk in Savannah, and the prompt that they gave me was think of something that you think is going wrong and then tell us how to fix it. So the first thing I thought of was, I'll tell you what's going wrong. We're not having conversations with each other, and I know exactly how to fix that. So that's where the TED Talk came from. It has over 17 million views now, and out of that came the book as well.
So why do you think that resonated so much with people? I mean, there are a lot of TED Talks, and they don't all get that kind of viewership.
Dana, I was the most surprised of anybody. I honestly did not expect that kind of response. I thought most people would find that a pretty boring topic. You have meetings at work or training where they say they're going to train you in soft skills and everybody groans.
Right.
I figured that's what the response was going to be. But honestly, I mean, these years later, thinking about it, I think that a lot of people, and worldwide, are beginning to realize that something's going wrong and trying to look for a way to fix it. And I think that's what ends up in the Google search that leads them to me.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Celeste Headlee on the phone with us right now, of course, award-winning journalist and now author. And I think I heard you're working on your second book, too. Is that correct?
I am with Random House, which is it's in the same line. It's a natural progression, but it's basically talking more about well-being and our obsession with productivity and efficiency.
Ooh, interesting. All right. Well, yeah. I don't want to leave this idea of conversations quite yet because I think it's important. And, I think it's extra challenging in the digital era that we're living in. I feel like, my daughter, for example, communicates with her friends a lot, but I'm not sure they're really saying anything. So when you're sort of talking about how to have a conversation that matters, what's sort of the first piece of advice?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is that texting and emailing is not conversation.
Thank you.
And I know, I mean, I have a 20-year-old son, that Gen Z, what they call iGen, is they're perfectly skilled at conversation. They're perfectly skilled at social relationships, but they're the most likely generation to believe that texting is the same as in-person or on the phone communication, and it just isn't, not by any measure, not neurologically, not emotionally, not physiologically. It isn't.
Yeah.
And I think more, and this is something all of us fall prey to, is that we tend to think that email, for example, is more efficient. But that's a complete delusion. We have zero evidence actually backing that up, that what you think is an efficient and clear, concise message that you sent to someone, it's not actually being read the same way when it reaches the other end, right? So it's rife with miscommunication, and we also know that in email you're more likely to escalate conflict, you're less likely to negotiate, you're less likely to cooperate. So all of those text-based messaging that we're replacing phone calls with is really hurting us.
Yeah, I totally buy that. I've had a lot of miscommunication over email. You think somebody's mad at you and they're not, or, they think you're mad. And And also, you're right about efficiency. I never really thought about that, but I know when I want to get something done faster, I pick up the phone. It's so much faster. Yeah.
But that makes you rare, and maybe it's because you talk for a living. Maybe that's why you're not afraid of calling people.
Oh, I used to be. I don't know. I am a little bit afraid. I just do it anyway, to be honest. All right. We're going to run out of time, so I want to make sure we get to sort of this idea of conversation and words and all of that as it relates to leadership, because, as we mentioned, you are going to be here for LeaderCast on Friday. I will be there as well. I'm very excited. But, I think part of being a good leader is being a good communicator, yes?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And this idea that you can lead from your office by sending out emails and newsletters and things like that, that's really delusion. There has to be face-to-face interaction. And I want to point out that most of the time, meetings that occur in office spaces are not good communication. That's why so many people hate them. That's why people view them as a waste of time. It's because you're not actually communicating well or taking advantage of the ideas and the innovation that you have there in your employees. So you've got to find a different way, and that's going to involve actually talking to people face to face.
Yeah, and I think there's also, I know in a lot of the corporate jobs I've had over the years, I would see my boss a lot in a meeting with 10 other people.
Yeah.
And then really almost the only alone time would be if I requested it specifically or at my annual review.
Yeah. Yeah, and performance reviews are also ridiculous since we're on the subject. But yeah, I mean, that's just not the way. Why hire a talented group of people and then don't have any system set up by which you actually gather those ideas and hear them and listen to those people? It's just nonsensical to me.
Yeah, you're making so many good points. I don't know where to begin. I guess we're going to have to read your book. That would be the solution to that problem. The idea for LeaderCast, you spoke about the prompt you had for the TED Talk. The prompt for LeaderCast Women is leading yourself. Obviously, well, I do talk to myself, but that's not necessarily what that's about. Just can you give us a quick tease on what you're going to focus on this week?
Yeah, I'm actually going to focus on self-care. And I think that a lot of the feelings that we have of being overwhelmed or overworked or unable to get everything done can be really easily relieved in some fairly simple ways. So I'm going to be talking about how you can actually take better control of your own humanity and get back to the things that make you healthy and thrive without really losing all that much. And that's by kind of getting back to what makes Homo sapiens truly special in the animal world.
Yes, please. I love all of that. Celeste, so great to have you on the show with us. Again, that was Celeste Headlee. She is, of course, very well known here in Atlanta from the airwaves, and also the author of We Need to Talk, How to Have Conversations That Matter. LeaderCast Women is coming up on Friday. I will be there emceeing, and Celeste will be there, among others, giving a fabulous talk. So you can still get tickets for that. We'll post a link on our show notes at danabarrett.com, and we'll be right back.